Eric, hey, congratulations on your documentary, La Liste, Everything or Nothing.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. So what initiated this documentary for yourself?
An email from Sam Anthamatten initiated it. He said, hey, I want to go and try and ski 6,000 meter peaks with Jérémie. We have this idea for this project. We want to go to the Himalayas and all the great mountain ranges of the world. We need a production team to pull this off. Let me know if you're interested.
That's it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, because it was like, and then we sort of had to come up with the treatment of the film and find sponsorship. Jérémie had a movie prior to this called La Liste 1, which was, pretty famous ski movie in Europe. And so he had a bit of a momentum behind him from that. But I didn't know Jérémie before the project, but I knew Sam from a project I had done with the North Face. And so they were looking for filmmakers that wanted to do it. And I think they were having problems finding people because it was such an ambitious idea.
So why out of anyone and everybody, why did you want to tackle this?
I was really interested in those mountain ranges, like the Andes and the Himalayas. Nobody skied in them very rarely, where people, especially free riding in them. And I just love expedition style filmmaking. It was something I was like specializing in, and I really wanted to get away from just making like traditional ski movies, which is skiing to music. And I really wanted to tell the story. And I knew that there'd probably be a fantastic story if you documented it properly, because it was such an ambitious idea.
I was going to say, you've done these type of documentaries before in these extreme cold weathers and such. Did you want to do this film with a different approach than other films before?
Yeah, I really wanted to try and tell the true story from a little bit more of a behind the scenes aspect. Most of the ski films I had done before were, a tiny bit of story, but more just like skiing to great music and really nice cinematography. This, I really wanted to have like verite moments and character development and tell the truth as much as I could about what happened. And I felt like this would be a great opportunity to do that.
So how much time did you spend with Jérémie and Sam before they started their 3 expeditions?
Before they started, not much, just because I live in North America and they live in Europe. We were mainly just talking, I think over the phone. And then we had a couple meetings with raising money from sponsors where I met Jérémie. And then we were it started, and then we all met in Peru.
So basically you got to know them more during these expeditions.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah, which is, you really get to know people on these expeditions because you're really isolated with them and you really get to see people's true character.
Now, tell us more about this free riding that they actually do. It's not a common sport, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's more of an obscure discipline of skiing where it's, it used to be called steep skiing in the 70s and 80s, where you're just trying to ski down the steepest, most challenging mountains that had never been skied before. And this now, with the ski technology changing, people just ski really fast and do really big turns. So it's free riding is more about picking a unique piece of terrain and painting a line down it, or skiing a beautiful descent down it, and it's more of like an aesthetic art.
Oh, so when they do that, it's more of like a artful type of thing, not just for the thrills.
I think so, yeah. I think so, because they choose, choosing where you want to ski and what mountain, I think has a lot to do with the aesthetics of it. You know, like Jérémie was really drawn to these like very pyramidal peaks that were all like really triangular and really had obvious, beautiful ski descents on them. And I feel like that those decisions that are made by the athletes have an aesthetic sort of quality to them.
Absolutely, and I found your documentary fascinating because you showed like a lot of the behind the scenes things on their choices, weather conditions, and even their fears is very prominent throughout this entire film.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's scary stuff. It's not like they're roped up, you know. It's like even climbing those mountains is an incredible accomplishment in its own, you know, and it takes like so much effort just to get to the top and figure out how to do that safely. And then they're sort of daunted with this challenge to try and ski down it in a, you know, progressive, spectacular manner. And I think that's an easy thing to say when you're like on your couch in your home, is like, I'm going to go do this. But when you're actually faced with it, it's super intense. And it's like they have to be super smart to be able to protect themselves, keep safe, but also like set out what they want to do. So it's and all this pressure from like sponsorship and the pressure they put on themselves to be successful. It's all weighing on them in these really short time windows.
Now, one of these scenes that actually got me shook was, I guess it was an incident in Peru.
Yeah.
The accident. Was that just how can you say, very unfortunate that you managed to get that onto film into your documentary?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you like the real story of it. It's pretty crazy. It was like, basically we had shot them like hiking and skiing the mountain that day, and the descent wasn't very good because the sun came out and baked the slope in the middle of the day. So they basically had to ski down ice. And so Sam and Jérémie both got down safely, but the rest of the camera crew was like coming down the mountain still. And that's when Mika fell. And so nobody was filming, you know, because we were done for the day. Everybody was packing up and making their way back to camp, basically. And Jérémie forgot to turn off his GoPro on his head. He forgot it was even running. And basically then he saw Mika falling and he traversed and caught him and saved his life, because he would have kept falling into a bunch of seracs and off cliffs into like a very perilous part of the mountain. So and then his GoPro was running. He forgot. It ran for like 25 minutes while he was holding him on the slope before everybody could get to him. He was literally holding him because he would have kept sliding. And so nobody knew that we had captured it. And then in the rescue, the GoPro fell off of his head and went underneath a bush. And when we were packing up camp to go down to the hospital to meet Mika, we found the GoPro just sitting there. We didn't even know who it belonged to. And then later we were going through the footage and we found it. And we were completely shocked because we didn't think we had captured any of it.
Wow. And how is Mika doing now?
Yeah, I mean, Mika's doing well, but he's living with a spinal cord injury, you know, for the rest of his life. So he has like problems, you know, walking, and, you know, his legs are pretty messed up, and he's sort of having to evaluate his life and change, you know, how he makes money. He was a photographer before, and now he can't do that as in the mountains. So I think it's been a very challenging thing for him, and you know, a lot of time in hospitals, and you know, obviously a major life-changing accident. So
when in considerations for like making a documentary like this, the crew is also in danger, and it's also very, you know, important considerations in planning.
Yeah,
through these three expeditions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the film crew we bring has to be highly skilled in a number of different areas. Everybody has to be like a multi-tool. Like you have to be able to fly a drone. You got to be able to shoot a camera. You got to be able to like ski and climb at a high level. You got to be able to like know how to fix a generator, to dump the footage. You got to be able to like mentally live in incredibly uncomfortable, cold environments for months at a time. So it was extremely challenging finding the right people and making sure they're available, and, you know, having enough money to pay these people to go away for that long. It's really complicated, and it's a highly specialized style of filmmaking, like expedition style.
Doesn't it scare you when you make these documentary, as quoted throughout the entire film, it's a numbers game?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was so stressful. Well, I was so stressed for everybody the whole time, like the camera crew and the athletes, watching them go up these mountains, and it takes so long to climb them. They're in dangerous situations for so long, and it was really, really stressful. When they got down safe, it'd be like such a relief of that they made it. But I'll never forget like sitting at my camera, watching them, filming them with a long lens, and just being like super uncomfortable for very long periods of time.
So you don't personally do these climbs or free ride?
I go to like certain parts of the mountain, but like what the really dangerous parts, we were hiring like specialty alpinist mountain guide cameramen who would do that. And I was sitting back and directing, you know, the drones and those guys, and keeping an eye on everybody. It's too much risk for me. Now,
I'm assuming that all this is done chronologically, just like your documentary itself. When they actually took a pause for Pakistan and returned back in, what was it, last year?
Yeah.
What was your reaction to restart and film that final leg?
My reaction was, it was actually crazy, because that expedition happened when the really big Delta wave happened in India and Pakistan. So basically when they went was like when that crazy surge of coronavirus was happening there. And then like during the expedition is when like Canada barred flights and the US barred flights from India and Pakistan and everything like that. So it was like, you know, pretty quiet on the COVID front right before that. And then sort of as it all was happening, that surge, that wave hit. So it was crazy, you know, like people, to get the camera crew home, we had to like jog them through different countries, and they had to stay in those countries, retest and then fly, and retest and fly. So it was, I was really impressed that those guys were willing to go and weren't scared. Because if you caught COVID in Pakistan, you know, it's in those small rural villages, there's not good hospitals there. There's no respirators. It's like pretty crazy. And those guys were willing to take that risk, which was even to get to the bottom of the mountain, to begin the walk to the mountain, they had to risk like insane COVID exposures in remote countries. And those guys were dedicated and did it.
Wow. It's like double and triple the danger.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then you could get it while you're in the car driving there, and then 5 days later the symptoms start kicking in, and you'd be like on a glacier at 5,000 meters trying to deal with it. And luckily nobody got COVID, but I mean, it's like, it was a huge added risk.
That is true. Well, Eric, let me wrap it up with one more question with you, is when audiences get to check out your documentary, what's the one most important take that you hope that they walk away with after watching your film?
I mean, I think that they walk away with a little glimpse into what it takes this day and age to move the needle in a sport, and how much sacrifice and energy it takes for these athletes to try and raise the bar. I think that's what the film's showing. And, you know, in this particular sport, the stakes are so high that it's insane to watch. But I think that's the main takeaway, is like, what, you know, to move the needle in free riding, you're in steep skiing, this is what it takes. And beside that, I just wanted to tell the truth and show people these beautiful mountain ranges.
Well, you certainly did craft a beautiful documentary. I mean, it's very picturesque, but I don't know if I would be visiting them anytime soon.
I hear you. Well, thanks, Gig. I appreciate your time, man.
Hey, thank you, Eric. Hopefully we'll get to do this again on your next documentary.
No, thanks, man. I'd love to. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.